Good evening, everybody. It's Matrix here. Here's my watch list for December 17th. All right, so let's take a look at the futures here. The futures, we are getting kind of a flat opening. It did gap up from the weekend, but it is running into its previous downtrend line. Now, tomorrow, this is a tough call right now. We're still a few hours before the market open, but the futures are gapping up, and we'll have to really see how this trend line plays out. It hasn't really broken the trend yet, but it's testing it right now. If it breaks out, if it breaks out, reclaims, and then dip a little bit and hold this trend, hold this support area here at the 2610. We should be getting a little pop back up into the 2635 area here, and before the sell-off tomorrow. However, if it gaps down overnight, if this trend line holds it down, we should be able to bring it down under 260, the 2660. Sorry, 2600. With that said, what does it look like on the SPY? Let's see. Here is the SPY. Okay, so it's gapping up right now, and it's kind of like at the 261 on the SPY, right? So really depending on how it opens tomorrow, it's very close. Same thing, if it gaps up and holds that trend, we should be getting a run back up to 263, maybe 263.50. All right, so let's mark that off here on the SPY. And then from there, I'm anticipating it to come down and reject basically the opening price of the SPY here at 263. All right, and then if it gaps down, or if the futures holds it down, we should be able to snap this 260 again, and then basically bring it back down to at least the lows to test this wick here. Looking on the intraday, come on. Intraday data, perfect. Okay, intraday, pretty much the same thing. I mean, 263, wow, 262.50, 263, around this area, maybe even a little more, test the highs, right? And then the lows, we should be playing about in and about this range tomorrow. It's a fresh start of the week. It's Monday. Don't know yet, but the thesis is pretty sound. Gets back up and over, starts holding. We should get a rip, and then probably in the late day we'll hit the top there and fade it back down. Or if it gaps down, we should look for a little pop and drop, and then we could get the market to come down a little bit more. With that said, I have 5 tickers for you guys tonight. First up, we have AEO. AEO was an earnings loser from a few days ago. It's looking pretty weak right now, but it's also looking a little bit oversold. So what I'm watching for on the daily chart here is the key resistance of 1850, as well as, let's see. Yeah, 1850, I like it a lot to hold it down. And we should be able to get a little cover pop back up into the 1850s. And if 1850 reclaims, you need to get the hell out, because this thing's going to squeeze basically and squeeze right back up to the 19s before the fail. We also have a massive double bottom here. It's looking pretty weak, so I do anticipate it to gap down a little bit. And then from there, we should get a cover pop back up at from the open. And then if it reclaims or hold this key support of 18, it could be a viable long since it's so oversold right now. And as you can see, the 18 plays a very key support role here at the whole dollar mark as well. So we should get a little bit of choppage and then probably pop back up, or choppage and then come down. And once it snaps, people are going to be looking for this dip to buy up. So we need to wait for that dip to get bought up, and then look for this sell-off again from 1820s, and bring it back down. We do have a lot of room to come down here. I mean, we can get back down to 1750s, and if 1750 snaps, we could get get it down to 16. It is a earnings reaction loser though, so think about that. I like it for the short side, even though it's a little bit oversold. Tomorrow we might get like a little chop day for it to consolidate a little bit. All right, so that's AEO. Next up, we have Nike, NKE. Nike is coming out with earnings on Thursday, and a lot of these tickers or a lot of these companies, they tend to sell off a few days prior to earnings just because people don't want to guess the earnings. Now, looking at this chart overall, it's looking pretty bearish. We do have major support here at the 72 mark. Okay, right now we're sitting at 72.50, and I'm also looking at the 73. Let me see. Yeah, 73 resistance. So we're going to be playing in the middle of this dollar range here. I do anticipate a little bit of chop sideways. Got to really wait for the setup, but 73, I like it a lot for the resistance area just because of this chart resistance, this here, and these 2 days as well. So gonna anticipate a little pop-up. The stock did sell off quite a bit. It steadily faded quite a bit on yesterday. So draw this trend line down, and as you can see, the prior major pop we had was into 73.20. So it might get as high as 73.20, but even on the 5-minute chart here, if you draw a horizontal line across, you can see it's a major resistance for the past few days here, and I don't think it holds. It might pop to kind of shake people out, shake the shorts out, and then come right back down. We have the 200 SMA here on the 5-minute chart and the 200 SMA here on the 1 minute to hold it down. And overall, the chart is looking bearish. It basically tagged the 9 EMA here on the daily chart and started to come down. Now, it was a little bit oversold. So I am actually looking for, we have to see how the 72 reacts as well. If it snaps, look for the really quick pop back up. And if it holds it down, you can short it from there. Or you can use a very tight stop risk at the point where it snaps, right? And test that out. Look for the fade. And if it does come down a little bit more tomorrow, it should be able to get to 71 or at least test the 71.50, the lows here. All right. And that's Nike. Costco is up next. This is an earnings reaction loser. I didn't place this one on my watch list on my last watch list, but my last watch list thesis was looking for the rejection of 220. Now, it never got back up there, but unfortunately, I missed this play. This was the golden goose. However, right now, it's super oversold. Costco, very oversold. We have very immediate support here at 205. As you can see, that's where it bounced off of on Friday. So we should be able to test that again. That's the support I'm looking at, the 205 for the bounce. Since it's oversold, people might want to bring it back up a little bit for tomorrow. I'm looking for like a retracement day. And as far as resistance go, I mean, I think I'll be watching, excuse me here, 208.50 as well as 207.50. Okay. The 207.50 is a very key psychological round number. Okay. The stock right now is holding $1 under. It's at 206.60. Because it's sold off so much, we should be watching for a cover pop at the open for the short sellers to cover a little bit. And depending on how these marks react, I mean, if it recovers and starts holding, this might squeeze. And the squeeze spot, I believe, is kind of like at the 208. We should see a squeeze and then kind of do what AMD did on Friday, and it would run and squeeze up early around the 209 area to 208.50s. Look for topping here. And from there around late day, 11 o'clock, 11:30, look for the backside breakdown and look for these marks to get hammered down and faded back down to the 205s area. Okay, if 205 snaps tomorrow, this thing has a lot of room and it'll magnet down to 200. So that's the thesis, both long and short play here. Watch the 205 for the double bottom bounce if it started to gap down tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it for COST Costco. J&J sold off huge on disappointing catalyst on news about one of their drugs. The thing about J&J is this is a major pharmaceutical companies that actually has good fundamentals, and this thing is very oversold. To me, it looks like more of an overreaction to the news. Now we have a key psychological whole number of 130 where it bounced off of on Friday. So I am going to watch for that, although it's already trending back up. So we need to draw this trend line here. All right. Right now, this trend line meets at around the 132.50. Also a very nice round number, as you can see. So I like it for the long. I definitely like it for long. It reclaimed the 200 SMA. It has room to get back up. We are very near the 133 level. We need to watch this 133 and see what it does pre-market. All right, so 133, if it gets up and over at the open, look for dip to hold 133 and then long it back. It could bounce back quite a bit here. It's a major big company, Johnson & Johnson, a big name brand. A lot of people want to try to get in cheap. Buyers will be looking into this as well as short sellers. Now, a lot of short sellers piled in here. And if we do get a hold on 133, we should be able to magnet it or bring it back up to 135 at the very bare minimum. And if 135 breaks out, it will try to test this top at 136.74. I like J&J. The float is massive. That way, and because of that, the spread's going to be nice and tight. We are probably looking at 1 to 2 cent spread here. I didn't watch it on Friday, but that's kind of like my guess. The float is massive. It's a slower mover. The long backup would be slow, but the thesis is there for it that it's so oversold, right? If it gaps down under the 133, though, we should look for a pop back up to 133 and see and react from there, and maybe take it down. If it rejects, and we can sell it down to 130 and then look for this double bottom. This is a major key area, so look for a major double bottom to set up at 130. All right, and then you can long from there. All right, so that's J&J. And finally, we have Walmart, WMT. Now, Walmart had higher than relative volume on Friday. It sold off quite a bit. It pops and then it dropped. As you can see, it got held down at a very key resistance level at this 92.50. Prior resistance now becomes prior support now becomes resistance. I mean, if you scroll back just a little bit, I actually like it for the 93 a little bit better because it's a whole number, and Walmart likes whole numbers. Now, looking on the intraday chart here, we do see a very concise 92.50 resistance, but we have to scroll back a little bit. Can it get back up to 93? It's a tough call. It's a slower mover, right? But and right now it's at 91.85, right? So my first watch will be to see how it reacts at 92 first. Okay, if it gets back up and over, reclaims this 92, we should be able to bring it back up. Be very mindful of the resistance at 92.50, and if 92.50 rejects, we should bring it back down and test the lows of today. And what this looked like, though, I mean, the overall thesis for Walmart is actually the gap fill. So I actually want to see this gap get filled right up here. All right. Well, it's actually trying to fill. right now. So this gap right here, let's see where this bottom of the gap is, this top of this green candle. So 91. So we have about $1 and change to play around with. It looks like it wants to fill the gap. Zoom in a little bit. It's almost there. It hasn't filled the gap entirely yet. I think if this little support snaps, we could get a little bit of freak out. The stock tends to kind of look like it wants to test this 200 SMA, the $90 area, 90.75 area. So I do like that for the short tomorrow. Look for a pop and drop, right? So that's WMT. Key support, we have $90 key psychological whole number, although it could come down a little bit even more, but definitely going to be watching the $90 mark as well. Okay, Walmart is an easier play. The overall trend is down for the past few days, so I do like it. We're going to look on a longer time frame or a little bit longer trend. I mean, here is the massive sell-off and then the lower high and then comes down again. And if it reclaims this 92, 92.50 area and starts holding, I believe the next few days we should see it come back up to the 95 where it meets this downtrend line and then get sell-off from there. So it might do something kind of like this tomorrow, right? See, we had a doji day prior after a massive sell-off, and then the next day it's a green day. So look for the support to hold and rip. So a few different theses there, right? This thing is a little bit oversold, but 92.50, 93, major resistance that snapped, or major support that snapped, and it looks like it wants to fill the gap. So that's my opinion on it. Thanks for watching. If you guys like this watch list, make sure you hit the like button. I might or might not be trading tomorrow. Right now, you guys are currently looking at my student account here. I still have an account to trade with, but past weekend has been long. I've been working a lot. I still need to think about my prior small account challenge. All the mistakes I made, I'm still in review of those, and I'm gonna make a proper plan before I get back to trading. And I need to kind of take in the overall major lesson myself before I get back into trading. But I will keep making this watch list. That way it'll keep my mind sharp, and that way it'll give you guys some ideas as well as to what kind of stocks I'm watching as well. And I know a lot of you guys like the watch list. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Ciao.